The Sony a7S III 5 years later. Is this still a filmmaker's dream camera, or has it been left behind by newer tech? Let's break it down. The Sony a7S III was built for filmmakers and content creators that want a power horse that can shoot video as well as photos on the side. With its 12 megapixel sensor, it is surely not aimed at professional photographers, but don't let that fool you. That 12 megapixel sensor can still take some great images. We'll talk about photography later in the video, but let's get to the real reason you're here. 422 10-bit 4K at up to 120 frames per second, dual SD/CF Express card slots, dual native ISO, exceptional low-light performance. This thing was a beast when it launched, but roughly priced at $3,000 now. Is it still worth it? The Sony a7S III's video quality still holds up incredibly well. It shares the same sensor as the FX3, and thanks to recent firmware updates, it can now shoot 4K DCI internally. Sony hasn't abandoned this camera yet. From my experience filming various projects with it, the 4K image is crisp, and while I don't use 120 frames per second often, it is still great to have it there when I need it. Additionally, you can even get up to 240 frames per second at 1080p, although I doubt you're gonna be using that in higher-end projects. S-Log3 422 10-bit, a dream. You get insane flexibility in post. If you've ever struggled with 8-bit footage falling apart while color grading, you'll immediately appreciate this. I once shot a project in 8-bit just to save some storage, and let's just say I'm never doing that again. Then there's low-light performance. Where do I start? You can push the ISO all the way up to 40,000 and still get usable image. And knowing you can crank up the ISO to 12,800 whenever you want to and still get a super clean image is a game changer for when shooting in uncontrolled environments. The autofocus is nearly flawless. It is super accurate, it is fast, responsive, and customizable. By customizable, I mean you can change the autofocus responsiveness and the subject shift sensitivity. I mainly pair it with the Sigma 2040-70 and it nails focus 99% of the time. However, with my Sony 90mm macro, it can be a struggle to get the focus sometimes, especially when shooting video. I know it's a macro lens and the general purpose of it is not to slap it on a gimbal and go doing parallax shots using a 90mm macro lens, but I do that sometimes. It's a very niche scenario. Just in case someone is doing the same setup, I just wanted to throw that out. Video-wise, this camera is excellent. Now onto the photography side. Is 12 megapixels enough? The Sony a7S III is not a photography-first camera, but you gotta give it credit. It can still deliver stunning images. The 12 megapixel sensor delivers sharp, detailed images, perfect for social media and web use. The only drawback is when you want to crop on the image. With only 12 megapixels, there's not much room to crop in on the photo or reframe it in post. So it's a good habit to keep in mind that whenever you're taking a picture with this camera, to frame it correctly and to bear in mind that when you're editing, there's not much room for cropping. However, with AI-powered upscaling tools nowadays, this is less of a problem, but it's still something to keep in mind. Now, personally, I think this is where the a7S III shines, and that is versatility and ease of use. It is a Sony E-mount after all, so the lens choices are endless. It is super compact and lightweight. You can basically slap a small lens on this and it'll look like a tourist camera, or you can rig it up all the way for it to become a cinema camera. As a full-size HDMI port, thank you Sony, and Sony Creator and Monitor Control app support. Pair all of this with Sony's user-friendly interface and you got yourself an incredible camera that is very easy to use. Last thing I want to touch on is battery life. I have been using the Sony a7S III for the past 4 years now, both professionally and for my own personal projects. It's safe to say that the battery is great, as I only have one battery. I only have one battery for the a7S III. I do recharge it sometimes in between shoots. It's a Type-C rechargeable battery. I'm not saying to go on professional high-end shoots with just one battery, but in case you only have one, it can get the job done. For continuous video recording, I would estimate around 2-3 hours. For mixed on and off recording, I would say you'd have 4 up to 5 hours of battery time. Obviously, this differs on if you're shooting 120, 24, 4K, 1080, there's so many factors, but generally speaking, it can go for 3-4 hours of shooting time. Now the final verdict, should you buy the Sony a7S III in 2025? Here's the deal. If you're looking for a camera that has high-end video, 4K crystal clear image, 120 frames per second, exceptional low-light performance, and can still shoot some images, this is the camera for you. If you'd rather have all the video features, then you're better off with an FX3. If you want something more for the photography side, or maybe more of a hybrid camera that has more megapixels, then you might be better off with the Sony a7 IV. And if it were up to me, would I still buy it today? Absolutely. I love shooting video. My main job is to shoot videos, but I always want to have the ability to shoot some pictures, whether it's for me, whether it's for professional use. So that was it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. This was my review 5 years later of the Sony a7S III, and I hope you guys have learned something useful from this video, and I helped you make your purchasing decision. So with that all said and done, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.